Grace Jones, how a supermodel terrified the entire industry. Now we know the reason why. Grace Jones, a woman who is not only a supermodel but also the first gay disco queen, a bold singer with an enchanting voice, a captivating actress with unforgettable roles, and an icon that makes the entire entertainment industry tremble before her rebelliousness, uniqueness, and uncompromising nature. But why does Grace Jones terrify everyone so much? We will delve deep into her life journey, from a painful childhood in Jamaica to world-shaking scandals, from legendary albums that changed music history to immortal film roles, and especially the latest updates in 2025, when she continues to shine on stage with undying energy at the age of 77. This is not just a story about fame, but also a profound lesson on resilience, creativity, and living authentically, values that our generation can deeply empathize with from our own life experiences. First, let's pause for a moment to imagine the origins of Grace Jones, a girl born into a strict religious family in Jamaica. Grace Beverly Jones was born on May 19, 1948, in Spanish Town, Jamaica, although some sources claim it was 1952, but Grace always keeps her age a secret, saying she likes to maintain mystery to create allure. In her autobiography, I'll Never Write My Memoirs, published in 2015, she revealed that she added about 4 years to her real age, and she doesn't care what people think because that's how she maintains control over her life. This, right from the start, created Grace's mysterious allure, making her an unpredictable figure in the entertainment world, like an abstract painting that you have to look at closely to understand all the layers. As the daughter of Robert W. Jones, a pastor, and Marjorie Williams, Grace grew up in a strict Pentecostal family, where everything revolved around the Bible and iron discipline. Her parents migrated to the United States when she was young, leaving her and her siblings in the care of her grandmother and her grandmother's boyfriend, a man named Pert, also known as Mass P, famous for his harshness and abuse. He beat Grace and educated her according to Pentecostal beliefs, where any deviant behavior was severely punished, even considered a sin against God. At just 9 years old, Grace was discovered naked in a wooden barrel with a neighborhood boy, and the local community took 2 weeks to decide on the form of punishment, like a real trial. The natural curiosity of children was seen as sin, violating the law and angering God. Grace later recalled in her memoir, "Natural curiosity led to a trial where they concluded I had broken the laws and angered their vicious God." These experiences not only left physical scars, but also mental ones, shaping a rebellious Grace who always challenges social norms. Analyzing this childhood more deeply from a psychological perspective, we see that the experiences of physical and mental abuse formed the rebellious Grace Jones later on, turning pain into creative motivation. From a modern psychological viewpoint, a childhood suppressed by harsh religion often leads to strong rebellion in adulthood, and Grace is the prime example. She turned pain into strength, using an androgynous image, gender ambiguous, to challenge society, similar to how many in our generation fought against the conservatism of society in the 1950s, 1960s. For an older audience like us, who may have witnessed social changes from the Cold War era to the Civil Rights Movement, Grace's childhood story reminds us of how many had to struggle to break free from family and religious constraints, seeking personal freedom. Personally, as a music blogger who has followed icons over many decades, I see that Grace's childhood is the foundation for her endless creativity, similar to how great artists like Frank Sinatra or Audrey Hepburn also overcame difficult childhoods to become immortal icons. Then, at age 12, Grace reunited with her parents in Syracuse, New York. But things didn't get any better. Her father, after a failed suicide attempt, believed he received a divine sign and became a pastor, opening the Apostolic Church of Jesus Christ in 1956. Grace's childhood was all Bible, beatings, and mental suppression, which she summed up succinctly, "My childhood was Bible and beatings." The 1960s marked Grace's first exposure to drugs, part of the hippie counterculture. She considered LSD an important part of her emotional development, a good mental exercise that helped her explore herself. Grace recounted her first acid trip with a psychedelic guru. It was like flying to the moon. Unbelievable. Not just for sex, but for touching yourself, opening up inner dimensions I had never known before. However, she didn't understand why she was famous for cocaine addiction when she never liked it, considering it something that made me weaker rather than stronger. Analyzing here, drugs in the 1960s, 1970s were part of the counterculture against the system, and Grace used them as tools for self-exploration, but they also led to later problems like addiction and scandals. From a personal perspective, I see this reflecting the search for freedom of the baby boomer generation, those like us who witnessed the explosion of rock and roll and the sexual liberation movement, and it reminds us that even icons have human weaknesses, moments of vulnerability that they must overcome to shine. Grace's modeling career began in New York and Paris in the 1970s, where she became a special supermodel thanks to her androgynous appearance, a perfect blend of masculinity and femininity that made everyone turn their heads. During a shoot for the Lapel catalog in 1975, she blended in with the male models to the point where people thought she was a man, creating a shock in the fashion industry at the time. Grace said in a 1984 interview, "I like dressing like a man. The future isn't about gender. You can be a boy, a girl, whatever you want. I like changing roles, and that's how I live." Analyzing this style deeply, Grace changed the fashion industry by challenging traditional beauty standards, influencing designers like Thierry Mugler and Issey Miyake, who considered her their muse. With angular outfits, wide shoulder pads, and short cropped hair, Grace created the cross-dressing trend of the 1980s, paving the way for gender diversity in fashion today. For an older audience, this reminds us of the social changes from the conservative 1950s to the freer 1970s, and Grace was a pioneer, similar to how Katharine Hepburn challenged feminine norms with pants and men's shirts. Personally, I admire how she turned her different appearance into strength, similar to how we at this age learn to accept ourselves after years of struggle. Grace's voice is a true wonder, with a range of 2.5 octaves, easily shifting from deep contralto to high soprano, creating wonderful dynamics in her songs. Her early albums from 1977 to 1979, Portfolio, Fame, Muse, had little creative input from her, mainly disco covers like the 7-minute version of Edith Piaf's La Vie en Rose, a classic French song that Grace twisted with her sensual voice and vibrant disco rhythm. Producer Tom Moulton was too domineering, controlling her singing down to every note, making Grace feel restrained. But in 1980, everything changed with the album Warm Leatherette, where she invested in new wave and her Jamaican roots, changing pop music forever. This album was the first part of the Compass Point trilogy: Warm Leatherette, 1980, Nightclubbing, 1981, Living My Life, 1982, recorded at Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas, a legendary studio founded by Chris Blackwell. Analyzing Warm Leatherette deeply, this album covered rock songs like Private Life by the Pretenders, turning them into cold reggae dub with heavy drum beats and Grace's threatening voice, reflecting a shift from vibrant disco to more avant-garde, darker music. The title track, Warm Leatherette, based on J.G. Ballard's novel Crash, is about car accidents and fascination with technology, sung by Grace with a cold voice, creating a mysterious and sensational feeling. Nightclubbing, the peak album of 1981 with hits like Pull Up to the Bumper, a song full of sexual innuendos with funky reggae rhythm, and I've Seen That Face Before, a cover of Astor Piazzolla's Libertango, is considered a masterpiece, influencing Madonna and Lady Gaga later. This album explores themes of the night, clubs, with Grace's deep voice creating a mysterious and sensual feeling, like an invitation into a tempting late-night world. Living My Life continued the style, with Sting's Demolition Man, a rock song twisted into heavy dub, emphasizing Grace's female power, like a declaration of personal strength. Analyzing this trilogy, we see that Grace fused Jamaican reggae with European new wave, creating a unique sound, influencing later generations like Annie Lennox or Bjork. Next was Slave to the Rhythm, 1985, a concept album where 8 songs are all variations of the same track, produced by Trevor Horn with symphony orchestra involvement. Analyzing deeply, this album is not just about musical rhythm, but also the rhythm of the entertainment industry, where Grace was exploited as a slave to the rhythm. The title track, Slave to the Rhythm, became a global hit, with Grace's bold video performance in futuristic outfits, creating a sensational and mysterious feeling. Inside Story, 1986, marked a shift to more commercial pop, with I'm Not Perfect, But I'm Perfect for You, a fun song about imperfection, but criticized for lacking depth compared to before, though still retaining Grace's powerful voice. Black Marilyn, a 1990s project inspired by Marilyn Monroe, was canceled due to financial issues, leading to a long silence in her music career. Then Hurricane, 2008, her comeback album after 19 years, with autobiographical songs like William's Blood, reflecting the artistic blood from her mother and grandmother, and Corporate Cannibal, a song criticizing capitalism with heavy dub rhythm and sharp lyrics like I am the corporate cannibal, I swallow you. Analyzing, Hurricane is an emotional storm, combining reggae, electronica, and profound lyrics about identity, like a confession about her stormy life. From a personal perspective, Grace's discography teaches us that music is a tool for healing wounds, and at our advanced age, we can appreciate an artist's evolution over decades, from fun disco to deep dub, similar to how we look back at our own lives with different phases. Grace's performances were always bold, full of sexuality and drama, attracting the LGBT audience, solidifying her position as the gay disco queen. She said in 1981 on BBC, I am as much a performer as a singer or actress, breaking narrow traditions. But Grace was also famous for scandals, moments that made the industry terrified. In 1981, she attacked Russell Hardy on BBC because she was overlooked in the interview, later explaining it was due to fatigue, confusion, and poor quality cocaine. This scandal led to a temporary boycott, but now it's a fun moment to look back on, like an iconic symbol of rebellion. Analyzing, this was an expression of accumulated frustration from childhood, and it made Grace scary to the industry. A strong black woman who wouldn't stay silent, challenging white male power. In 1982, she turned down a role in Blade Runner because her boyfriend, Jean-Paul Goude, was jealous of director Ridley Scott, later regretting it but too late when she read the script on the plane to Paris. In 1986, she interrupted Arnold Schwarzenegger's wedding to Maria Shriver, entering like a cowboy gunslinger in a Western film, creating a sensational moment still retold. In 1998, she was banned from Disney forever after flashing her top and smoking on stage at the Florida park, in front of children, a rebellious act against Disney's family-friendly image. These moments emphasize Grace's rebelliousness, making her terrifying to the entertainment industry because she wasn't afraid to break rules, similar to how our generation witnessed icons like Muhammad Ali challenge the system. In acting, Grace started with indie films like Sweet Vengeance, 1970, where she had a supporting role in a low-budget action film. Gordon's War, 1973, as Mary, a strong woman in the context of New York street wars. Let's Make a Dirty Movie, 1976, and Deadly Vengeance, 1981, small roles that helped her hone her skills. Her breakthrough role was Zula in Conan the Destroyer, 1984, where she played a strong Amazon warrior alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, with impressive fight scenes and muscular image, challenging the image of weak women in fantasy films. In 1985, Mayday in A View to a Kill, the villainous Bond girl with superhuman strength, parachuting from the Eiffel Tower in tight black outfits, becoming one of the most memorable female villains in the James Bond series. Analyzing. This role showcased her androgynous appeal, challenging women's images in action films, turning her into a feminist icon. Vamp, 1986, with Katrina, a seductive vampire in a horror comedy film where Grace says no lines but performs mesmerizing mime. Stripping on Stage. Straight to Hell, 1987, by Alex Cox, a spaghetti western parody with the role of Sonia. Siesta, 1987, with the role of Conchita, a mysterious character in an art film. Boomerang, 1992, with Stranger, parodying herself as a fashion diva, with humorous sexual scenes alongside Eddie Murphy. Mackenzie's Island, 1998. Wolf Girl, 2001, with the role of Christine, a transgender character in a horror film. Shaka Zulu, The Citadel, 2001. Cyber Bandits, 1995. The documentary Grace Jones, Bloodlight and Bami, 2017, by Sophie Fiennes explores her life through 12 years of footage. From family meals in Jamaica to stage performances. From a personal perspective, Grace's acting career proves that age does not limit creativity. And in 2025, she still inspires younger generations through her diverse roles. In terms of romance, Grace admits she's bad at relationships because of her hot temper and need for freedom. With Dolph Lundgren, a bodyguard 7 years younger, met at a nightclub. They became a hot couple, posing nude for Playboy in 1987, but the relationship was chaotic with orgies involving up to 5 people. Dolph recounted in 2018, "It was wonderful in theory, but when you have to get up and fight Sylvester Stallone the next morning, it's not so great." Grace helped him start his career with a small role in A View to a Kill. With Jean-Paul Goude, a French artist, they created legendary album covers like Nightclubbing with Grace's image as a living statue, and they had a son, Paulo Goude, in 1979. Paulo followed his parents as a model, musician, and wrote Sunset Sunrise for his mother's album, Hurricane, becoming a profound source of inspiration, helping Grace through tough times like addiction and loss. Her only marriage was to Attila Ataunbey in 1996, a Muslim Turkish man 24 years younger, but later she couldn't find him to divorce, so they are still legally married to this day. Throughout her life, Grace faced cocaine addiction and LSD, financial scams leading to the cancellation of Black Marilyn, losing many friends to the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. She performed at charity funds to honor them, as a way to heal collective wounds and personal issues from childhood abuse. These challenges tested her spirit, but Grace always came back stronger, channeling suffering into art, analyzing deeply. Her Pentecostal background fueled her rebellion, turning trauma into a versatile image, breaking norms. I see this as testimony to human resilience, like exploring the mysteries of the universe. Grace faced her demons, inspiring us to embrace complexity in old age. In 2012, an impressive performance at Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee, where she sang Slave to the Rhythm while hula hooping non-stop throughout the song, at age 64, captivating millions, symbolizing undying energy and defying age. Commenting here, this wasn't just entertainment, it was a bold statement about vitality, combining physical strength with artistic talent, similar to how she blended genders in fashion. And for us in our 70s plus, it reminds us that life is still full of surprises. In 2018, Jamaica honored her with the Order of Jamaica, recognizing her global contributions to music, fashion, and culture, a perfect full circle for the girl who once fled the harshness of her homeland. In 2025, Grace continues to shine with headlining performances at the Blue Note Jazz Festival in New York with Janelle Monáe on June 9th at Prospect Park, Brooklyn, a summer opening concert combining 2 queer icons, bringing electric energy and classic songs. Earlier, on June 5th at the Anthem in Washington, D.C. for World Pride, Grace and Janelle Monáe made history with a colorful performance, honoring the LGBT community. She also performed at the Sani Festival in Greece, Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, Brick, Celebrate Brooklyn, and Ravinia Festival in Illinois, where she brought a setlist mixing old and new, from nightclubbing to hurricane, with futuristic outfits and her iconic hula hoop. These events prove Grace's undying energy at 77, like a reminder that age is just a number. Grace turned down collaborating with Lady Gaga in 2015 due to lack of inspiration. I have to not only like but be inspired by what you do, and I wasn't inspired from the start. When I met her, I thought she was too tense, still searching for herself. Still, Gaga was influenced by Grace, as in her album Fame with femme themes. Grace hates labels like diva, legend, icon, emphasizing uniqueness. Be yourself. First, I'm me. Rihanna like Lady Gaga owner. I can't be like them unless they've been like me. When people say she should be proud of being copied, she told the New York Times in 2015, "No, I'm not, because my vision is unique, found from your own suffering, creativity, or happiness." Grace's influence spreads wide, from Rihanna with bold style to Lorde with dark music, changing fashion with androgyny, and music with genre fusion. In 2025, she remains an inspiration for young artists, like Janelle Monáe, who sees Grace as a mentor. Personally, I see Grace as an icon of resilience, teaching us to live authentically at any age. The story of Grace Jones is a journey from trauma to triumph, full of mystery and allure. She terrifies the industry because of her uncompromising boldness, but the reason is her strength in overcoming adversity, inspiring our generation to live resiliently and authentically. Thank you for listening throughout this long video. If you like it, please like, subscribe, and share to help the channel grow. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring more immortal icons.